In the two gap analysis of foreign aid, very important. I'm going to explain you in detail what this is now. A country with a binding saving gap, which of the following strategies does it need for boosting the economic growth? Okay. Now, please listen to me very carefully. See, the two gap analysis, it is also known as the dual gap analysis. So this is also called as the dual gap analysis. This model basically tells you that if any developing country wants to grow, if any developing country or underdeveloped country, it wants to grow, then it must get some help from the developed country. अगर एक डेवलपिंग कंट्री को ग्रो करना है तो उसके लिए उसको डेवलप्ड कंट्री से हेल्प लेनी होगी. What kind of help? It will have to go ahead and take foreign aid or foreign borrowings. So it has to go ahead and take foreign aid or foreign borrowings of capital. So this model, it is concerned with foreign borrowings of capital by less developed countries to achieve economic development. Development के लिए foreign borrowings की जरूरत है, foreign aid की जरूरत है, which it can take from other countries. Now let's have a look at the equation. We know y is equal to c plus I plus g plus nx, right? So from here, we get that y minus c is equal to g plus I plus nx. बस c को दूसरी साइड लेके गए. Now we know that income can either be consumed or saved. So income minus consumption should be savings, right? So what we can go ahead and do is replace by savings here. So S is equal to G plus I plus NX. ये अपने आप में it's a national identity. It says that savings, domestic savings, can be used for government expenditure. It can be used to give borrowings to government. It can be used for the purpose of investment. And it can be used for the purpose of net exports, right? Now, supposedly in this model, I keep G at 0. G की जरूरत नहीं है. And I go ahead and I bring I on the other side. What do I get? I get first S minus I is equal to G plus NX. And if I keep G at 0, then I will get what? I will get S minus I is equal to X minus M if G is 0. So I can write if G is 0. Or what you can go ahead and think is that this is equivalent, if I reverse this, this is equivalent to going ahead and saying that I minus S, ulta kar do, I minus S is equal to M minus X. ठीक है? इस स्टेटमेंट को बहुत ध्यान से समझो. दिस इज द डुअल, पूरा ये जो पूरा डुअल गैप एनालिसिस है ये इसी चीज पे बेस्ड है. सो ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस स्टेटमेंट. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेटमेंट. इट सेज इफ यू वांट टू हैव इन्वेस्टमेंट मोर देन सेविंग्स. देखो अभी तक हम क्या पढ़ते थे? वी यूज्ड टू ऑलवेज स्टडी दैट सेविंग्स हेल्प यू इन इन्वेस्टमेंट. But this says, if you want to have the investment, which is more than savings, if this is more, I minus S is more, then in order to go ahead and do that, you must have imports more than exports. ये हो गया आपका foreign gap. ये हो गया domestic gap. And we are saying that foreign gap is equal to domestic gap. This is my equation that I am talking about. ये equation एक पहली equation हो गई जो इसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं. Let's read this out now. Very, very important, okay? A surplus of import over export. Import over export. M minus X कर रहे हैं ना? So surplus of import over export is financed by foreign borrowings. It allows a country to spend more than it produces or invest more than it saves. So if I want to invest more than what I save, I must have M greater than X. Now, let's go a little further and think about it. What is the growth theory in any market? किसी भी economy की growth theory क्या कहती है? किसी भी economy की growth theory ये कहती है कि investment से ही growth आती है. If you invest in goods, चाहे वो investment domestically हो या वो capital goods मैं इंडिया के बाहर से लेकर आऊं, but growth requires investment goods. So any growth theory, it suggests that growth requires investment goods. It can come domestically or it can be purchased from abroad. ठीक है. अब अगर मेरे को इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए तो इन्वेस्टमेंट कहां से आएगी? सेविंग्स से आएगी. So the domestic provision requires savings, the foreign provision requires foreign exchange. This is the basis of dual theory. इन्होंने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन dual theory पे पूछा है, but to answer that we have to set the base of dual theory. So what have we seen till now? We have seen that one, usually जो हम equation लिखते हैं वो हमारी closed economy की equation होती थी. अगर इस equation को हम open economy equation बना दे, so we get something like this. We get I minus S is equal to M minus X. This equation, it means that if I want to invest more than the domestic savings, I must have more gap. I must have imports more than exports. Growth theory tells me that I can go ahead and have growth only if I do investment. And investment usually would come from savings. And now I am saying if I want to have imports more than exports, if I want M greater than X, भाई अगर ज्यादा import करने हैं तो ज्यादा foreign currency चाहिए होगी, right? So for the right hand side to hold true, for foreign provision to hold true, I need foreign exchange. I need the currency of the foreign economy. तो दो चीजें हो गई. अगर investment करनी है, I need domestic savings. और अगर foreign provision चाहिए, then I need foreign exchange rate. Now, let's go one step ahead. Now, just think about the Harrod-Doman model. आज तक जो Harrod-Doman model हमने पढ़ा था, whatever Harrod-Doman model we have studied was this. This Harrod-Doman model, it stated G is equal to S by K, where S is the savings rate, G is the growth rate, K is the capital output ratio. This is the Harrod-Doman model that we have studied till now. This was the closed economy Harrod-Doman model. But from this closed economy, I want to go towards the open economy Harrod-Doman model. Open economy Harrod-Doman model ke liye, what do? We go ahead and we introduce something which is known as this factor, B by K. This is called the open economy Harrod-Doman model. And in this B by K, what is B? B is import minus export upon national income. And what is S? S is savings upon national income. ठीक है, तो अब ध्यान से समझो. We are going ahead and we are saying that, not here, we are saying that growth rate is affected by this gap. It is affected by B, where B is import minus export. This is my extended Harrod-Doman model. And this extended Harrod-Doman model, it takes into account import and export balance. It says, if you have foreign aid, अगर आपके पास foreign aid है, अगर आपके पास foreign currency है, तो आप import export से ज्यादा कर सकते हो. और अगर import export से ज्यादा होंगे, तो automatically मुझे पता है कि investment saving से ज्यादा हो पाएगी. और अगर investment saving से ज्यादा होगी, तो growth automatically आएगी. So I will give you this PDF. Don't worry about what is written, but just understand. So what are we saying? We are saying that if import could exceed export, if and only if the foreign aid was available to you, If this happens, then investment will be greater than saving. ये हो गई हमारी कहानी डुअल गैप मॉडल की. तो डुअल गैप मॉडल में हम दो चीजों की बात करते हैं. फर्स्ट थिंग, द गैप बिटवीन इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड सेविंग्स, एंड सेकेंड थिंग, द गैप बिटवीन फॉरेन एक्सचेंज, द गैप बिटवीन how much currency I need and how much currency I have. If I want to import more than export, that means I need to have more foreign currency. So how much currency I need, kitni currency mujhe chahiye, and how much currency I have, that's the foreign exchange gap. तो एक हो गया फॉरेक्स गैप और एक हो गया सेविंग्स गैप. ये दो गैप्स को ही डुअल गैप बोलते हैं. I hope this is making sense. The question is asking about dual gap. First, we need to understand what is dual gap. So dual gap is two things. One, investment and savings gap. And two, how much currency I need and how much currency I have. Very important statement. Both these gaps are not substitute of each other. वो एक दूसरे के substitute नहीं है. They are independent of each other. ठीक है. इन गैप्स के बारे में ही क्वेश्चन है. सो दीज टू गैप्स आर व्हाट वी हैव. नाउ लेट्स गो बैक टू द क्वेश्चन वंस. द क्वेश्चन सेज इन द टू गैप एनालिसिस ऑफ फॉरेन एड, अ कंट्री विद बाइंडिंग सेविंग्स गैप. अब हमें इतना तो समझ में आ गया दैट टू गैप एनालिसिस में दो तरीके के गैप आते हैं. द फर्स्ट वन इज द सेविंग्स गैप एंड सेकेंड इज फॉरेक्स गैप. ये हमने समझ लिया. Now the question is asking that this savings gap is binding. तो हमें ये समझना है कि बाइंडिंग सेविंग्स गैप क्या होता है और बाइंडिंग फॉरेक्स गैप क्या होता है. This is what the question is asking. So now let's just think about this. See here. Let us understand first of all what is binding savings gap. Savings gap is said to be binding if your domestic savings are inadequate. Binding मतलब क्या हो गया? Limited, constrained. So a savings gap is binding if your savings are inadequate to support the economic growth. Economic growth के लिए जितनी savings चाहिए, अगर उतनी savings नहीं है, if you do not have that much savings, what you require, then that is called binding savings, right? So this is what it says. Now, you may think, ठीक है, savings अगर काफी नहीं है तो foreign exchange तो है, foreign exchange से development आ जाएगी. The issue here is you have adequate foreign exchange earnings, but you don't import the necessary capital goods in this case. The example of this is Arab countries. अभी नहीं, in their mid 1970s, they had a lot of currency with them. उस करेंसी से वो बाहर से कैपिटल गुड्स मंगवाकर बहुत अच्छा ग्रो कर सकते थे. But they did not spend their money on the capital goods. Instead, what they did is that they spent it on luxury items, right? So when you have a savings constraint, this savings constraint is viewed due to lack of productive resources. ऐसा माना जाता है कि आप proper save नहीं कर पा रहे हो because you do not have the right manpower, you do not have the right productive resource in your economy. So sorry, even though you have foreign currency, you cannot use that foreign currency for investment because you don't have anyone who will use that capital. भाई labor चाहिए ना उस capital को use करने के लिए, you don't have that. So in this case, the savings gap constraint implies that you have foreign currency. उस foreign currency से आप capital goods खरीद सकते थे. This is what we are saying. That if I have excess of foreign currency, I can do excessive investment. But in the savings constraint, I don't do excessive investment Why? Because I don't have any productive resource. If I bring in capital, I don't have the manpower. I don't have anyone to work for it. So due to lack of productive resource, due to lack of manpower, I am not able to grow in my economy. So you start spending your money on luxury consumer goods instead of capital goods and luxury and raw material. ये हो गया savings gap. अच्छा, what is foreign exchange constraint? Not gap. I should write the word as constraint. Foreign exchange constraint is when you don't have the adequate currency. I want to invest. I want to buy the raw material. I want to buy the capital goods, but I don't have foreign currency. How will I buy it? This is the situation which is very common. India में यही हुआ था. We had the capability. अगर हमारे पास proper capital होता, we could have grown, but we don't have the currency. If I don't have the currency, how will I grow? So in this case, what is missing is the currency itself, right? That's the constraint. But here, you have the currency, but you don't have the productive resources to invest in the right capital. So now, going back to the question, पढ़ते question को एक बारी. In the two gap analysis of foreign aid, a country with binding savings gap, right? Which of the following strategy is used? So, अगर binding savings gap है, it means that I have inadequate productive resources. So what should I do? I should go ahead and increase productive resources. This is the answer to this question. Okay, come to the next one. Although microcredit is often targeted at the poor, the rate of interest charged in such loans is usually much higher than that charged by commercial bank. Okay, important. So just think about this. Microcredit is basically the credit which is given for the purpose, it's given to poor people for the purpose of meeting their daily needs. So for example, let us talk about agricultural sector where people don't have much ways to go ahead and take loan, right? In those cases, they will go ahead and they will take microcredits. So microcredit is like a small credit which is given to individual to start their own business. या जैसे एक साल drought आ गया या flood आ गया and I don't have money for my crop to get that money. Now the interest rate on this is much higher than the other interest rate. And what's the reason for it? The reason is that in case of microcredit, the transaction cost per loan is higher, right? And there is an absence of collateral, right? So I have an absence of collateral. बहुत बारी जब हम microcredit देते हैं, people don't have anything to keep as collateral. So it's a very risky way of lending money, right? And therefore the interest rate is very high. Just sometimes in exam, they ask, where did microcredit originate from? So you can write this down, that microcredit originated from Bangladesh. Okay, it actually came from Bangladesh. That is where it came from. Okay, so if someone asks you who provides microcredit, so very simple. Microfinance lenders provide microcredit. Proper lenders होते हैं जो provide करते हैं. Bank will not do that. Bank बिना collateral के loan नहीं देता है. लोग अपने आप में भी loan ये वाला दे देते हैं. So you would have heard of something called as the committee system, right? this even happens with your families. You might have seen that, ladies, they come together and every month they will pitch in 1,000 rupees and then one of them will take it. That's also a form of microcredit, right? Okay. So answer to this question will be D. Come to the next question. The Lewis model is considered to be classical model of development because. Okay. So, so what we should do is we should study a bit of the Lewis model. So one of the assumptions of the classical model is that there is unlimited supply of labor. Labor की supply में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. If you want 1,000 labor, you are going ahead and you will have 1,000. If you want 2,000, you will have 2,000. So there is unlimited supply of labor. That is not a problem. So this is one of the assumptions of the classical model. Now let's talk about the Lewis model. In the Lewis model, Lewis said that there are going to be two main sectors in the economy. One is the agriculture sector and one is the industry sector. He called the agriculture sector as the traditional sector, and he called the modern sector as the industry sector. So ये दो sectors उसने define किए, agricultural sector and the modern sector. Now, then if I have to go ahead and define this thing, he said that, look, the agricultural sector has always a surplus of labor. हमेशा क्या होगा, जितना लेबर एग्रीकल्चर में चाहिए उससे काफी ज्यादा लेबर एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर में अवेलेबल है. And in fact, this is the phenomena of what is called as disguised unemployment, right? So he called the agricultural sector as the labor surplus economy. So we must write this term down. It's an important one. So the agricultural sector was called as the labor surplus economy, right? Labor surplus economy means that you have intensive labor in the agricultural sector. The main theme of this was the dual economy. दो economies हैं, एक urban, एक traditional. Now what it said is that, look, the marginal productivity of labor in the traditional sector is zero. मतलब अगर मैं एक लेबर हटा भी दूं तो आउटपुट उतना ही प्रोड्यूस होगा जितना पहले प्रोड्यूस हो रहा था. So there is nothing which an additional labor is adding in the agricultural sector. It is literally what we have as the disguised unemployment. So some of the labor does not contribute at all to production. So what did he say? He said, look, in such case, when this scenario is defined, what happens is that if the modern sector provides higher wages, then people will migrate. So agar suppose the wage in the modern sector, if this is greater than the wage in the agricultural sector, then people will go from agriculture towards modern. Output of agriculture will be unaffected. क्योंकि agriculture में additional labor तो disguised था. But output of the modern sector will increase. So when output of modern sector will increase, the profit of the modern sector will increase. And this profit will help to employ more people in the modern sector. So employment in modern sector will increase. So people will keep moving from traditional to the modern sector till all this surplus labor is exhausted in the modern sector. पूरा का पूरा surplus labor will be absorbed in the modern sector. But इस पूरी चीज में जो center point था, इस चीज का वो यही है that we have excess labor, that we have surplus labor, unlimited labor in the sector, in the agricultural sector. Now, come back to the question. If I look at the question, beta, question में जितने points दिए हैं, वो सारे के सारे लुइस मॉडल के लिए करेक्ट है. So if you read the first one, the productivity of labor in modern sector is higher than traditional, correct. The supply of labor in the economy is determined by labor leisure. ये तो हमेशा ही होता है. How much labor I will supply depends on the reservation wage. It depends on whether I want to work or not. This is also correct. There is unlimited supply of labor available for the modern sector. This is also correct. But although all these points are for Lewis model, इनमें से सिर्फ एक ही है जो क्लासिकल मॉडल से रिजेंबल करता है. Classical model never talked about modern sector, right? It never talked about labor leisure choice. Classical model only talked about unlimited supply of labor. And this is common between classicals and Lewis. So the answer I will go for is C, not D. Many students mark D. क्योंकि Lewis model में तीनों points आ रहे हैं, as I just explained, but only this resembles classical model. So we will go with this point. Okay, now come to question number 5. If a country grows at 6% annually for a period of 3 years, the head count rate of poverty. So, see, when I talk about head count rate, it is number of people below poverty line upon population. Now it says country grows at 6% annually. But we still don't have much information about this. Does it mean that people below poverty line also grow? Does it mean they remain the same? Does it mean they decrease? ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है that when population went from 100 to 200, people below poverty line went from 10 to 20. Or people below poverty line remained at 10. Or people below poverty line actually reduced because country GDP was growing. So people below poverty line decreased. We don't know. So we don't have much information on what happened to the number of people below poverty line. इसके बारे में कोई भी information नहीं है. So if I don't know what happened to number of people below poverty line, I cannot comment on the head count. So I will go with C. May rise, fall, or remain the same. Okay, come to question number 6. It says the Human Development Index constructed by UNDP is based on. This is excellent. There was this excellent, reading in Delhi University, which was about Amartya Sen's capability approach. Amartya Sen, in his capability approach, what did he say? देखो बेटा, capability मतलब मैं किस चीज की capable हूं. So capability approach, it basically talked about what a person should have. देखो economics में दो चीजें होती हैं. What are the two things? One is positive economics. One is normative economics. Positive economics tells me what is, क्या है. But normative economics tells me what should be, क्या होना चाहिए. So normative economics is what should be. And Amartya Sen's capability approach, it is a normative economics. It tells कि क्या क्या चीजों का, basic चीजों का freedom किसी भी human being को होना चाहिए. What are the basic freedoms that human beings should have? Right. In that he has referred to these things. A person should be able to live a long and healthy life. A person should be able to be knowledgeable and should have decent standard of living. Now let's compare this with HDI, Human Development Index. If you remember Human Development Index formula, the Human Development Index formula is based on three things. तीन चीजें आती हैं उस फॉर्मूला में. What are those? Birth expectancy, life expectancy, not at birth, इसको life expectancy लिख देते हैं. This is life expectancy. Mean years of schooling and GDP or GNP. These three things help you to calculate Human Development Index. So, can I link these three things to capabilities? I can. So this HDI is actually based on the capability approach given by Amartya Sen. So answer to this will be C. It's based on the capability approach. Okay, come further. I am not doing question 7 and 8. This is a paragraph. You can just read this through it and just do these questions. I'll come to question 9 now. Okay, so come to question number 9. A consumer's utility function is given by u of x, u is equal to 3x plus y. So u is equal to 3x plus y. So what will be MRS? MUX by MUY. If I differentiate with respect to x3 with respect to y1, it says price of good x is 30 and price of good y is also 30. So what will be px by py? 30 by 30, which will be 1. These are substitute goods. So we know that if MRS is greater than px by py, you consume only good x. So how much x will you consume? M by px. Income is given as 900. X ka price is 30. So 30 units. So answer to this will be 30, 0. Let's plot this also. Something like this has happened. The slope of IC is more than slope of budget line. So if this is my budget line, slope of IC is more. So IC looks something like this. Steeper. So what is the highest IC you can reach? Here. This is your equilibrium, where you consume only good X. Okay. This is the answer to your question. Okay, come to the next one. Mr. X wealth next year, including his factory, is estimated to be 6 lakh. There is a 20% chance that an accident will occur in the factory. The factory is valued at 3 lakhs. Thoda sa samajh lo. The total wealth is given as 6 lakh. Okay. So if I have to talk about wealth, wealth is 6 lakh. I can break this wealth in two parts. Matlab 3 lakh, aisa maan lo that this is my, cash. By factory is worth 3 lakh. This is what it says. Right? It says there is a 20% chance that accident will occur in the factory, valued at 3 lakh, will be completely ruined. So 20% chance that ye jo 3 lakh hai, this will turn out to be 0. There is a 20% chance. Right? It says find the expected wealth next year if he does not purchase insurance for this factory. So next year, whether there is going to be accident or no accident, I will definitely have this 3 lakh intact. This 3 lakh is not going anywhere. So whether accident or no accident, I will definitely have 3 lakh intact. But if there is accident, the remaining 3 lakh will become 0. And the chance of that is 20%. So with 20% probability, I will have the remaining as 0. And with 80% probability, the remaining will be intact. There will be no accident in the factory. So this will give me 3 lakh plus 2,40,000, which is 5,40,000. So the answer to this question will be C. I hope this is clear. एक 3 lakhs तो एकदम ही intact है. It's like cash. It only talks about the remaining 3 lakhs. It only talks about the factory that I have. 20% chance it will be ruined and 80% chance it will be same. So with 80%, I will have 3 lakhs intact. And with 20%, it will become 0. You just add that and you get 5,40,000. Okay, come to the next question. Consider a competitive industry where the market demand is given by P is equal to 50 minus Q. This is very good question. I liked it. So let's see this. Good from the level of SAU at least. Okay. So this says that consider a competitive industry where market demand is given by P is equal to 50 minus Q. The marginal cost function is simply MC is equal to Q. पहले इतना देखते हैं. What is my equilibrium? So it says competitive industry. So what will be your initial equilibrium? It will be P is equal to MC. So P is 50 minus Q. MC is Q. So it will be 50 is equal to 2Q. So Q will be 25. So initially, this firm would be producing 25 units. What will be your price? It will be 50 minus 25. यहाँ पे put करा हमने. So it is going to be 25. Now, it says government imposes a tax of 10 rupees per unit of production. So what does tax do? Tax will increase the marginal cost. So your new marginal cost. It will be initial marginal cost plus 10. That means it will be Q plus 10. So what will be your new equilibrium? Price is equal to MC. Price is 50 minus Q. And new MC is Q plus 10. So you will get 2Q here. And this is equal to 40. So Q will be 20. If I put this Q back in the price function, what will be P? P will be 50 minus Q. So 50 minus 20, which is 30. So earlier, price kya aa raha tha? Price was 25. Now, price is coming 30. So what is the change in price? The change in price will be 5. So this is your change in price, right? So the answer to this question will be 5. This is the change in price. Okay, come to the next question. This is also a good one. It says 2 kinds of consumers exist for a product Z in the market. One kind of consumer has an intense liking for the product with inverse demand function given by P is equal to 20 minus Q. पहले सिर्फ इस consumer की बात करते हैं. Let's say this is consumer 1. This consumer 1 has P is equal to 20 minus Q. So beta, what will be Q? Q will be 20 minus P. Now, this consumer or any consumer in the market has to buy positive quantity. By quantity, the positive ho sakta, it cannot be negative. So the quantity that this consumer will buy can only be greater than or equal to 0. This means that 20 is greater than equal to P. I am just putting 20 minus P greater than equal to 0 because I want to have positive quantity. And from here, I will get 20 greater than equal to P. So think about this. ये जो consumer 1 है, if I were to plot the demand function of this consumer, the demand function of this consumer is like this. ये 20 है और ये भी 20 है. ये P है और ये Q है. तो अगर प्राइस 20 है तो डिमांड 0 है, बट इफ प्राइस इज एनीथिंग ग्रेटर देन 20, करके देख लो, यहां पर प्राइस को जस्ट पुट दिस एज 30, so you will get negative quantity. Quantity cannot be negative, na? Demand can't be negative, so which means demand is simply 0. So any price above 20 means that the demand is simply 0. This is consumer 1. Now let's talk about consumer 2. So consumer 2. For consumer 2, P is equal to 5 minus half into Q. So I will get 10 minus Q by 2. So 2P is equal to 10 minus Q. So Q will be 10 minus 2P. Same concept has to be applied. The quantity can only be positive. Quantity cannot be negative. So quantity क्या हो जाएगी? 10 minus 2P greater than equal to 0. Because Q has to be positive. So 10 greater than equal to 2P. So P less than equal to 5. So this consumer beta will only buy if price is less than equal to 5. अब थोड़ा समझ लेते हैं इन दोनों को एक साथ. So we have built two consumers. We have got two consumers. One consumer, consumer 1, he buys as long as price is less than 20. अगर price 20 के नीचे है, then he will purchase. How much will he purchase? His quantity function is 20 minus P. So as long as the price is less than 20, his quantity demanded is given by 20 minus P. This is what his quantity demanded is. And look for the other consumer. For the other consumer, as long as price is less than equal to 5, he will demand. How much? 10 minus 2P. So as long as it is less than equal to 5, he will demand. How much? 10 minus 2P. So just think about this. इस zone में जब price 5 से नीचे है, both the consumers will demand. The first consumer, his demand function is 20 minus P. Second consumer, his demand function is 10 minus 2P. So total will be 30 minus 3P. This will be the total demand. When price is between 5 to 20, तो एक consumer तो eliminate हो गया. This consumer will not buy. Only this consumer will buy. So how much will be the demand? Demand will only be according to the second consumer. So 20 minus P. And if price is greater than 20, nobody will buy. So demand will be 0. So we can rewrite this demand function as 30 minus 3P if price is less than equal to 5. 20 minus P if price is between 5 to 20, right? And 0 if price is greater than equal to 20. This will be his demand. Now let's have a look at the options. So the options are 30 minus 3P for all price level up to P less than equal to 5 and 20 minus P for all P greater than 5. This is what we have found out till price 20. Hai na? So this is my answer. D is your answer to the question. Right? Okay, so this is what I wanted to do in this class.